Hey everybody, welcome back, and today we are starting our Luminous, the Symphony of Us documentary. What we're going to do is we are going to walk around World Showcase and we're going to show you where we're going to be shooting each of our angles from, and we're going to be telling you which focal lengths we're going to be using and which lenses. Right now I am trying to stoke out a good spot to get some close-ups of the barge. Sitting right here, center of World Showcase, is a big no-go because that grate is blocking everything. So we have to find a different one. But I think we have a good back angle here if we come back over here. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna grab our gear and test it out. So let's hit the intro and let's head back there. Okay, so we got our back angle and our middle angle at the same time. As you can see, about right here. We're still in the center of World Showcase here. This is with the 14. We'll obviously shoot, we'll probably end up taking it down some. No, because I want the people in it. So I could probably honestly end up raising it up some. I could probably raise it all the way up like this and still be able to get the shot that I want. It won't be as crooked just because I'm, you know, doing something here. But and even if it is, you know, a little bit crooked, it's not a big deal because I can adjust it in post. But this is where we'll shoot using the 14 and the 35. So now we got to go find ourselves a good, you know, forward. We're gonna head over to the Canada Pavilion. There's a couple of spots over there that I saw this morning. I'm gonna check them out. Okay, day number 2. This is probably where we're gonna shoot tonight. We are right here. You see the center of World Showcase right there. We are right here. If you really want a vantage point, look for number 19. I like this spot because it's kind of away from everyone, so to speak. And I'll honestly be probably about right here with the tripod and all. Right about here. With the 85, it's a very, very good. It's not too close. It's kind of just right where it needs to be. So when we take into account crop, when we get in post, we'll be able to get we'll be able to get considerably a bit closer. We can get as close as we want, essentially. We'll also shoot it with a 14, an ultra wide here. That way we can kind of create the back. We can get a back and a front here for when the fireworks are shooting off individually. And there is one firework that shoots off right here, right over there on that side over there. So we'll be able to capture that with the ultra wide lens compared to using the 85. So it's a no-brainer. It's good. It's a good spot. So tonight, this is where we're going to be shooting. Night 2, we'll shoot back over there where we showed you originally. That'll be the back. We'll use the 14 and the 35 over there. So next, we're going to head over to Canada to check out a spot I want to see over there. Right here. If you know where Canada Far and Wide is, it's right across from it. This spot here, looking out, there's nothing. So I feel like it's a good spot. This is probably the side angle I'm gonna be shooting here. We will probably shoot this on day 3. Day 3, we'll probably shoot this, definitely shoot this. I'm about to test everything out with my lenses to see what's going to work good here. Okay. Just tested everything out. The 35 will be very good here. The 35 will act as an ultra wide lens, being the fact that it's a good distance away. I'd have to say if you wanted to get up close on it, you would, from right here, you would probably need maybe a 135 would get you where you were over there on that 18 and 19 spot over there. Over here, I'm gonna shoot with a 35 and an 85. The 14 is gonna be just a little bit too wide, and the 85 is kind of like middle ground of it, where you could get like a a good distance away from it, but at the same time, if you wanted to crop in, you could. The 35 is going to act, like I said, it's going to act as kind of like a back angle, but we're not shooting here for a wide shot. We're shooting here to be able to zoom down. We want to get all the fireworks that are going to be shooting off the water, essentially. That's what this angle is for the fireworks coming off the water and some of the fountains here. So this is definitely a premier spot for day 2. We're not going to shoot anything in the Italy area. There's no reason to, but instead we have to make our way clear to the other side, to the American Pavilion, because I do believe the last 2 shots are going to be over there. I know there's one on the American Pavilion side, and I don't exactly know for sure if I'm going to shoot the second one over there. We're going to see when we get over there. I will say, for somebody who has done videos, fireworks videos for the longest time using their phone, it is definitely different when you see a spot in Epcot that's wide open, and there might be trees on one side and trees on another side, but you don't ever think that, oh, well, this spot right here is just like dead center, you know? And yes, you could still shoot that with an ultra wide angle lens, and you could, you know, crop it out. But if you have the opportunity to not do so, why would you? If you can just get a different position, then why not do that? I don't know, I think I wasted like 10, 20 minutes, you know, realizing that. With the 85, it was good with the 85. But the moment I threw the 35 with the 14 on there, there's trees in the side, and I couldn't crop it because of the focal length itself. Cropping the trees out would have also cropped out some of the fireworks display. So I really didn't want to do that. So it's just something to keep in mind if you are making a transition from doing it, you know, like most people do with their phones, compared to using something, because I'm only using primes. So it takes a lot more planning, a lot more work. There's a reason why we're walking around the park for an hour and a half figuring out where we're going to be shooting at. So that way each night we know, okay, 2 hours before the show, this is where we're going to be at. We scope these places out because my worst enemy with these shows isn't cameras, it isn't people, it's smoke. And at Epcot, smoke is horrible here. With any show, the smoke is astronomically horrible. So each night, usually about 6 o'clock, 6:30, I start, you know, I'll pull up the Windy app on my phone and I see where the wind's going to be blowing, and whatever angle I'm going to have that's going to be over there. There's the reason why we have multiple ones around the park. That's the one we're going to be shooting at, because we want to make sure the smoke is going away from the display instead of towards us. Last night when we were filming Happily Ever After at the Contemporary Resort, the wind was blowing directly towards us, so all the smoke from the fireworks came directly towards us. So there are a lot of sections within that show, within that angle, I'm not going to be able to use, because I'm not going to be using smoky fireworks display. Just not going to do it. So let's head over here to Japan. There's a couple of spots I want to check out over here and see what we can come up with. All right, we are in Japan, and I found a pretty sick spot. We're up here.
This group originated from Tokyo,
and we'll be shooting this with a 14 and a 35, or an 85 and a 35. More than likely, it'll probably be the 35 and the 85. 14 is just a little bit too wide. It shows a lot of people, and I don't have a problem with including people in the shows. But how wide the shot is, there's more people than there are what we're actually shooting. So we're gonna go with the 35 and the 85 here. Pretty sick. Let's go to American Pavilion. Okay, guys, we are heading to our last spot for our documentary. I am just going to say this. Tomorrow, Hollywood Studios Day, I am not carrying this around all day. I will go back to the resort, pick it up before dinner, and call it a day, because it's just, oh my gosh, walking around all day with this thing. I say that, and then tomorrow you'll see me again with this big heavy old 40-pound bag. We found us two really sick spots for fireworks. One's the Japan Pavilion, whoo, up there on the balcony with the 35 and 85. El Perfecto, Gustico, yeah. All right, so we're over here at the American Pavilion. After this, we're gonna start making our way clear to the other side of the park. Jesus, all the walking. To the Seas with Nemo and Friends. All right, we found our last spot. American Pavilion, right here. We'll be shooting this with the 14 and the 35. 14 and 35 here. There's no reason for an 85 here. We've got enough, you know, close-ups at this point. Very, very good spot. You're gonna have people down there, you know, that are gonna be included in the shot, and you even have ducks that come and watch the show. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That is all 5. It's all 5 spots we're gonna be shooting at. We'll obviously start, we would like to start in World Showcase and work our way back over here and finish up over here. But it really depends on what the wind's gonna be doing as far as how that plays out. We have all different 5 angles all around here, so it's really not that big a deal. I don't really want to cover camera settings tonight, so I'll go ahead and do it now. The lenses that I'm using are all Sigma primes. They are Sigma 14, 35, and 85. All of them have an wide aperture of 1.4. Anytime you shoot a low light situation, you want to open your aperture as far as it'll go so you can let in more light. So being that is, it'll be shot at a 1.4 every night. No questions asked. Your ISO, you should not be shooting in a standard picture profile. You should be shooting in a log profile. Using the Canon R5C for the 8K, we'll be shooting in C-Log 3. Using the Luminous S5 2X, we'll be shooting in V-Log. The reason for this, you get the most out of your dynamic range, which means your colors and everything is gonna look and gonna have the best quality possible. The Luminous X5 2X has an open gate 6K, which is a 3:2 aspect ratio, which is perfect for cropping. So uses the full sensor. It's great. ISO should always be set to your base ISO. The S5 2X has a dual native ISO of 640 and 4000. Anything above 640 will start getting noise right around 1250, and once you hit up to like 4000, it cleans up again. So we'll be shooting on the high ISO of 4000 tonight. If one of our angles turns out bad, that's perfectly fine. Then we'll scrap the Japan Pavilion and reshoot that angle using the correct ISO. Last night we shot the Contemporary with 4000 ISO and everything turned out really good. So we're gonna try tonight to, I don't want to shoot one camera in 640 and one camera in 4000, because if I do that, then I'll have one that's right and I'll have to reshoot one all over again. So it's messing up. So if you're gonna commit to doing it one way and testing the ISO out on it, just fully commit to one ISO for both cameras. Shooting with 3 cameras tonight, completely messed everything up as far as, you know, the setup goes, but 2 cameras tonight, every night, until we get to Magic Kingdom in a couple of days. So that's it on the ISO. Shutter speed. Your shutter speed should always be double what your frame rate is. So I shoot at 24 frames, so you should have your shutter speed at right around 48. And if you're shooting at 25, it should be 50, 60, 120, so on and so on. With the Lumix and a lot of these newer cameras, you want to turn on shutter angle. And what shutter angle will do is it'll give you, if you set it to 180, no matter what your frame rate is, it's always going to match. So that's definitely big. I always have shutter angle versus shutter, you know, speed. I like that better. because I stick it on 180 and just leave it there. I don't ever have to mess with it. So that's it, man. That's everything from here. I'll include a little of the clips, but we'll see you guys in post-production. Thank you guys so much, and let's head over there and start editing our audio. Oh, by the way, speaking of audio, before we get over there into the studio with audio, we are doing a brand new audio recording technique. We are using 3 different microphones. One is using a 32-bit float audio recorder. So I got to come up with something to call this. I just can't say brand new audio. So I'll think of something between now and then. But yeah, that's why the audio sounds so crazy. So let's head into post and let's start editing our audio. All right, everybody. So I said I wasn't going to do this, but since there's literally nobody here, I can go ahead and do it. We are not able to shoot over there where the number 18 was, so we have to shoot over here where the number 19 was. Number 18 is blocked off for the disability people, which is perfectly fine. We like 19 too, so it's just right here. All right, so we're gonna go over camera settings here. This is essentially my setup. I have no mic or audio. I don't have any of that set up yet. I'm in the process of setting all of this stuff up now. But I wanted to talk a little bit about my settings here. You can't really see. So, A for effort, right? Shutter angle 180. I'm shooting in 6K open gate mode, 3:2 ratio, 24 frames per second. I do not shoot autofocus. I shoot full manual focus. I know there are a lot of people that shoot autofocus. I don't use autofocus because with fireworks, focus breathing is a very big problem. If you watch my video of Happily Ever After, back in last year, there was a lot of focus breathing problems with the phone I was using when it came time to Tinkerbell. The castle was out of focus, Tinkerbell was in focus, the fireworks were in focus, the castle was out of focus. So sometimes the autofocus, the Luminous autofocus is top notch. It's really, really good. But there's still going to be the possibility and the extremely high chance for focus breathing when fireworks are going off. So don't use autofocus. If you're using the Luminous S52X, you can turn a setting called autofocus/manual focus. And what it does is it gives you this little button right here. You can see it right here. If I push it, it'll light up, and everything that lights up blue is going to be in focus. And it'll autofocus it what you want in focus. If something's in focus and you don't want that particular thing in focus, you can move the dial to what you want in focus, hit OK, and it'll focus it for you. And what it'll do is it'll continuously have that in focus. When I shot the Contemporary Resort, the fireworks and everything else was always in focus. It was never a question. And when I went back and watched the video, everything was in focus 100% of the time. So I would highly recommend this. My lens has autofocus and manual focus, but I always swap it to manual focus because of this. So that's something to consider. If you're using Sigma lenses, you'll know what I'm talking about. This one particular has the aperture ring on it, which I lock it at 1.4. And it also has the autofocus. It also has the auto and manual focus lock, where no matter what you do, it'll stay locked no matter what, in case for whatever reason you accidentally hit the button. But yeah, that's we'll have this one here, and then over here we'll have the another one, the 85, and on the monopod right here we'll have the R5C, which is going to be the 35. So yeah, that's essentially what all of this is. I'm gonna play around with the ISO tonight and see what looks really good. This looks really good. The only downside I don't like of using 4000 ISO is the fact that a lot of the whites are really, really bright. When I shot Soarin', everything that was white was really, really white. Like really white. It wasn't so white that the colors were being clipped in the scopes, but it was white enough that to the naked eye you can see, you're like, whoa, this is really bright. So we're probably going to turn it down a little bit. If we go into 640, we're going to play around with it and see how it turns out when the pre-show starts here in just a little while. But as of now, it's being shot in 4,000. It looks really good in 4,000, but with the brightness, you're gonna have more lights coming up. I really don't know. So we're just gonna play around with it and see. More or less, it's gonna be 640, but you know, we have to wait and see. Also, another reason why we're shooting here tonight, aside from the fact that this is the place we planned, if you look, you probably can't see it, but at the top of the American Pavilion, right there where Eagle Smokehouse is, there is an American flag. What you want to do is, whatever way the American flag is pointing, you want to be the opposite.
Good evening. Tonight at 9 o'clock, we invite you to join us for
Luminous, the Symphony of Us. So, we are getting ready to shoot. And I thought I would showcase some of the gear that we're using and show you guys the setup that we use for shooting here at Epcot. Before I show you guys everything, before you start asking the question, why would you shoot with 2 cameras in the same spot with 2 different lenses? One is considered an ultra wide angle, which is the 14mm Sigma 1.4. This thing is an absolute monster. And the other one is the 35mm. Now you ask why. We shoot in 6K open gate, which what that does is it's a 3:2 aspect ratio, which will help us in cropping to lining the frame up, top to bottom, left to right, in a 4K timeline. So we'll shoot it with 35, but when you look at our up close angle, we'll be using most of it from the angle from over here, because we can crop in and make it look perfect framing every single time. So, check it out.
Non, non, mais si moi je me mets à côté de Seb. À côté de Seb, on va t'écouter. On n'est pas à côté.
She's not her mom, she's her sister because I'm her mom.
I will be the first one to tell you that holding this 14mm lens with the camera, it's a bit much. That thing is heavy. That lens itself is heavy. I rented it, okay, because I'm not buying that type of lens. It's fantastic. It's not an all-in-one lens, so to speak, but you can get pretty damn close with it. You know, between it and the 35, I was gonna go with the nifty 50, but then again, I'm like, I don't want to do something that a lot of other people do, so that's why we use the 35. We do have one more, but we're obviously not using it tonight. Based on the 85 that we have that we could use to get up close, we don't like using it because of exposure problems. And what that means is when you're recording fireworks, you have these explosions. And you have something like 1.4 that's going to let in more light. You're going to get constant overexposure at the peaks of the fireworks because you're letting in so much light, causing a simple overexposure problem. You could do what I did last time and turn the ISO down, but if you do that, then you're lessening your quality of your brightness through the rest of your scene. So the best thing to do, honestly, is to realize that you're never going to get the correct exposure and just do the best that you got.
Good evening, and welcome to World Showcase Lagoon. In just 30 minutes, we invite you to experience Luminous, the Symphony
30 minutes of
of Us.
showtime, baby. You're not going to get the correct exposure. You got to find a medium, a good balance between ISO and exposure. So instead of using a 640 ISO, going to a max of 4,000, we just do half. Like tonight, we're shooting at 32. So let's get to work, man. All right, friends, so we got set up. Tonight, we are shooting from the American Pavilion, right here. American/Italy Pavilion. Call it what you want. But this is where we're shooting at. Using the 35, we've got it particularly angled a little upwards to capture specific scenes that I want to capture with this one. We have the 14 millimeter, which is obviously the ultra wide lens to capture, well, everything. We're gonna turn the ISO down. Yes, a little bit from the other night. The other night we had it at 32, and some parts are just a little bit too bright. So we're gonna crank it down, not to 640, but we're gonna crank it down a little bit for certain parts. We're also attempting to get a close angle with a 35 with the crop. That's why we're right here. So that way we can kind of differentiate between the two. Well, we got about an hour now, about an hour and 15 minutes before showtime. So you know what that means? That means we get to sit back and enjoy our cocktail and wait for people to ask me if I work for Disney. We'll see you guys after the show. All right, everybody, we just made it back to the resort, as you can obviously tell. And we were going over the footage that we got from tonight, and I am more than satisfied with the footage tonight. It looks fantastic. That's it, man. Production on all 4 shows will start in a couple of days. By the time this video comes out, production will obviously already be underway. I go home tomorrow, finally. I had a great time, and we got a lot of work done. So there is that. We'll definitely be taking a vacation later this summer, but it will not be here. Believe me, it won't be here. So thank everyone for hanging out, and we will see you guys when we see you, and peace out, man.